In the sweltering heat of Atlanta, 1976, Marcus Reynolds watched his idol from the crowded stands of the Olympic arena. The air was thick with tension and the deafening roar of 20,000 spectators. Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer of all time, was facing an opponent nobody expected would give him trouble. Yet there he was, the legend himself, stumbling backward, his famous footwork failing him for the first time in years. Marcus couldn't believe his eyes. He had saved every penny from his job at his father's garage to buy this ticket. At 17, he had grown up watching Ali dance around opponents, his gloves seemingly defying gravity. But tonight was different. Ali looked tired, almost human, when the unexpected right hook connected with Ali's jaw, sending him crashing to the canvas. Marcus felt his heart drop to his stomach. If this story has already made you feel something, however small, don't leave without giving back. Comment and tell me where you're watching this video from, and subscribe to the channel. Ali's gloves lay flat against the canvas, his chest heaving as the referee began the count. 1, 2, 3. The crowd fell, silent, a collective breath held. 4, 5. Marcus gripped the edge of his seat, knuckles white. 6, 7. Ali's eyes, once sharp and defiant, now seemed distant. 8. With trembling arms, Ali pushed himself up, swaying slightly as he stood. The match continued, but it wasn't the same. Ali's legendary speed was gone, replaced by desperate clinches and heavy breathing. When the final bell rang, there was no need for the judges' scorecards. Ali had lost, not just the match, but something more profound, his aura of invincibility. After the fight, Marcus lingered outside the arena, hoping for a glimpse of his hero. Most fans had dispersed, disappointed or even angry at witnessing the champion's fall. The cool night air carried whispers that maybe Ali was finished, that age had finally caught up with him. Marcus refused to believe it. 3 hours later, long after most had gone, Marcus saw him, Muhammad Ali, emerging from a side door, shoulders slumped, face bruised. No entourage surrounded him, no cameras flashed, just a man, vulnerable and alone. Without thinking, Marcus approached him. "Mr. Ali," Marcus called out, his voice cracking with nervousness. I still believe in you." Ali turned, his eyes finding Marcus in the dim light. For a moment he said nothing. Then, unexpectedly, a small smile formed on his battered face. "What's your name, young man?" "Marcus, sir. Marcus Reynolds." "Come walk with me, Marcus Reynolds," Ali said, gesturing with his hand. "Let me tell you something about falling down." They walked for nearly 30 minutes through the quiet streets of Atlanta, an unlikely pair. The greatest boxer in the world, and a 17-year-old garage mechanic's son from South Chicago. Ali moved slowly, each step deliberate, as if his body was reminding him of every punch it had absorbed over the years. "You know what hurts more than getting knocked down, Marcus?" Ali asked, breaking the silence. "It's what they say about you when you're on the ground." Marcus nodded, unsure how to respond. The streetlights cast long shadows as they walked, occasionally illuminating Ali's face. The swelling under his right eye, the cut on his lip. "Tomorrow the papers will say I'm finished," Ali continued. "They'll say my legs are gone, my reflexes shot. They'll say Muhammad Ali should retire before he damages his legacy." He stopped walking and turned to face Marcus directly. "And you know what? They might be right about my legs and my reflexes, but they're wrong about everything else." Marcus felt a chill despite the warm night. There was something in Ali's voice. Not defeat, but something deeper, like steel being forged. "What will you do?" he asked. Ali looked up at the night sky, stars barely visible through the city lights. "I'll use what they can't take from me, my words, my mind, my heart." He tapped his temple, then his chest. "In this game, when your body starts to fail, you better have something else, something they can't punch out of you." They continued, walking, eventually reaching a small diner still open despite the late hour. Inside, they took a booth near the back. The waitress recognized Ali immediately, her eyes widening, but professionally took their order without making a scene. Just, "Coffee for Ali, chocolate milk for Marcus." "I grew up in Louisville, you know," Ali said after the waitress left. "Couldn't go into places like this back then, not through the front door anyway." He looked around the diner, taking in the normalcy of the moment. "Every fight I've had in the ring was just a shadow of the real fights outside it." "Is that why you became a boxer?" Marcus asked. Ali laughed, wincing slightly at the pain it caused his bruised ribs. "I became a boxer because someone stole my bike when I was 12 years old. I told a police officer I was going to whoop whoever took it. The officer, a man named Joe Martin, told me I better learn to fight first." Ali's eyes grew distant with the memory. "Small things change everything, Marcus. That stolen bike led me here." Their drinks arrived, and Ali fell silent for a moment, wrapping his battered hands around the warm mug. His knuckles were swollen, the skin broken in places. Hands that had thrown thousands of perfect punches now struggled to lift a coffee cup without trembling. "Tomorrow," Ali said finally, "I'm going to speak to the press. They expect me to hide, to make excuses. Instead, I'll give them something they don't expect." The press conference was scheduled for 10 in the morning at the hotel where Ali was staying. Marcus shouldn't have been there. He had school, and his father would be furious about his absence. But some opportunities come once in a lifetime. He stood at the back of the packed room. Journalists from around the world assembled with their notepads and cameras. When Ali entered, the murmuring stopped. He wore a simple dark suit, his face still bearing the marks of yesterday's defeat. No entourage accompanied him, just a single manager who stood off to the side. Ali moved slowly to the podium, his eyes scanning the room until they found Marcus. A subtle nod, almost imperceptible. "I know why you're all here," Ali began, his voice quiet but clear. "You're here to write my obituary, the death of a champion." He paused, allowing his words to hang in the air. "Well, I've got news for you. I'm still breathing." A nervous laugh rippled through the crowd. The cameras clicked rapidly, capturing every nuance of his expression. Ali continued, his voice gradually finding its familiar rhythm. "Last night, a better man beat me. That's the truth, and I won't dishonor him or myself by denying it." Ali leaned forward slightly. "But here's something else that's true. I've been knocked down before. In this ring we call life. I've hit the canvas more times than you know." Marcus watched in awe as Ali transformed before his eyes. The defeated man from last night was gone, replaced by someone who seemed to grow taller with each word. The bruises were still there, but they no longer defined him. "They took my title when I refused to fight in a war I didn't believe in," Ali continued, his voice rising. "They called me a traitor, a coward. For 3 years, the prime of my career, I couldn't do what I was born to do. But did that finish me?" He looked around the room, challenging anyone to answer. "I came back and reclaimed what was mine." The room was completely silent now, every person present understanding they were witnessing something extraordinary. Not just a comeback speech, but a masterclass in human dignity. "So you want to know if Muhammad Ali is finished?" He straightened, to his full height, shoulders back, chin raised. "I will tell you this. My body may have 20 fights left, or 10, or just one. But my spirit has 1,000,000 rounds still to go. My words will outlast my jabs. My principles will outlive my footwork." Marcus felt his eyes welling with tears. Around him, hardened journalists who had covered wars and disasters were transfixed, many scribbling frantically to capture every word. "I don't fear losing," Ali said, his voice now gentle. "I only fear not standing up again. And as long as I can stand, Even if it's on shaky legs, I have something to say, something to give." He smiled then, the famous Ali smile that had charmed the world. "I'm still the greatest, not because I never fall, but because I always rise." With that, he stepped back from the podium. The room erupted in applause, something unheard of at a press conference. Journalists were on their feet, professionalism momentarily forgotten, in the face of authentic human greatness. 6 months later, Marcus sat in his living room in South Chicago, surrounded by family and friends. On the television screen, Muhammad Ali was dancing around the ring, defying all predictions, his gloves once again a blur of precision and power. When the final bell rang, there was no doubt. Ali had reclaimed his title in what would later be called one of the greatest comebacks in sports history. As the referee raised Ali's hand in victory, Marcus's father squeezed his shoulder. "You were right to believe in him," he said quietly. "Some men just have something different inside them." Marcus nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. He hadn't told anyone about his meeting with Ali after the defeat, keeping it like a precious secret, a moment just for him. But the letter that had arrived 3 weeks ago, handwritten on hotel stationery, was proof it hadn't been a dream. "Dear Marcus," it read, "when a man is down, the smallest voice of belief can sound like thunder. Thank you for being that voice for me. Remember what I told you. It's not about never falling, it's about how you rise. Your friend, Muhammad Ali." Over the years that followed, Marcus watched Ali's body begin its slow betrayal. The symptoms of Parkinson's disease gradually stole his physical gifts, the lightning reflexes, the fluid movement, eventually even that magnificent voice. But, through it all, Ali's words continued to resonate, growing more powerful even as his physical presence diminished. 20 years later, Marcus, now a successful boxing coach working with at-risk youth in Chicago, kept Ali's letter framed in his office. Each new group of young boxers would hear the story of that night in Atlanta and the lesson it taught, that true greatness isn't measured by never falling, but by what you say and do when you're on the ground. On the day Ali died in June 2016, Marcus sat alone in his office long after his students had gone home. He reread the letter one more time, the paper now delicate with age, then looked at the black and white photo beside it. Ali at the press conference, his face bruised, but his eyes alight with undefeated spirit. "The world will remember your victories," Marcus whispered to the empty room, "but I'll remember the night your gloves were on the ground, and you taught me that words can hit harder than any punch." In the decades since that chance meeting, Marcus had seen countless fighters come and go, some with faster hands, some with more natural talent. But none had ever matched Ali's greatest skill, the ability to find strength in vulnerability, to transform humiliation into inspiration, to make defeat merely a prelude to something greater. Because in the end, Muhammad Ali's most powerful legacy wasn't the championships or the famous knockouts. It was the understanding that when everything is stripped away, the titles, the adulation, even health itself, what remains are your words, your principles, and your capacity to rise one more time than you fall. If you've made it this far and felt every word, don't leave without subscribing. I tell these stories with my heart in my hand to reach people like you, who feel, who get emotional, who live. If this really touched you, give back, comment, subscribe, come be part of this family with me until the next video.